Before we begin today, a brief content warning. One of the episodes we will be discussing in this podcast is the Season 11 episode Familiar, which does contain depictions of child death. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Things Are Getting Strange, an X-Files Rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And nothing has happened again, has it?
No, I haven't heard any gossip about the X-Files lately, not
Very
even
dead.
about the supposed new series.
No one's doing that. No reboots, no surprise new episode coming out without any warning at all like we got in February.
Or sequel to Perihelion or anything like that.
Yeah. Right, we're almost to the end of Season 11, but this is the penultimate week for this. Not this, because we've done this. That was a bad episode.
It was, yeah. Though fairly relevant to today's, actually.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, now I know. Okay, so I'm going to have to get this up because I can never remember it. First...
I think you need to repeat the title a few times just to make sure you've got it.
Absolutely not. First we have RM9SBG93ZXJZ.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Yes, you did. Directed by Glenn Morgan. And written by Sharon Hamblin and Kristen Cloak. Kristen Cloak is married to Glenn Morgan, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
And she was the guest star in The Field Where I Died.
Correct.
And Final Destination. And I think Space Above and Beyond when we did it back then.
Oh, okay.
I think it's been a whole lot of different things. But attached to Glenn Morgan, because Glenn Morgan and James Wong left the X-Files to go and do Space Above and Beyond. It's all coming together now. And we'll do again. First broadcast on 20th of February 2018. There is no one of note in this episode except Mulder and Scully. There are other actors, because there's a few of them at the end, but...
there are only one more, apparently, other than Mulder and Scully, according to the fan Wikipedia.
There were definitely some background extras.
There are three actors in this episode.
Okay. I'm guessing that the other ones are just literally... They pulled people off Vancouver Street and said, look, you sit in that booth.
Yep, could be. I'm going with what X-Files Wiki says. There are three people credited for this episode.
Because the only other person could be the waitress at the end.
I presume so,
She has
yeah.
some lines. Because the voice at the start is clearly a synthesized voice.
Oh yes, the one that's talking... Well, we'll get to it shortly.
We'll get to it.
So, would you like to give us a synopsis for the unpronounceable episode?
In 2016, allegedly, a machine learning chatbot was released to the public via Twitter by a major software corporation. It was shut down within a day after the bot, designed to copy and learn from human interactions, began posting racist and hateful messages. The narration ends with a warning that humans must take responsibility for the behaviour of AI. Mulder and Scully visit a fully automated sushi restaurant, Forowa, but are preoccupied with their smartphones. Mulder receives a blobfish instead of the sushi he ordered, but finds there is no one to complain to, as there are no human staff, and all the chefs are robots. Mulder refuses to leave a tip, but finds his credit card becomes stuck in the payment slot. Mulder tries to force remove his card, but instead causes the restaurant to start shutting down. Scully manages to open the door with a chopstick, but Mulder is forced to leave his card behind. Mulder and Scully return home separately, Scully taking an automated taxicab that begins speeding alarmingly. Both agents are bombarded with automated notifications from services they have used. Scully tries to call Mulder but cannot get a connection and is billed $250 when a home security system rejects her password. She unexpectedly receives a drone-delivered robotic vacuum cleaner, but finds it too frustrating to use. Scully's automated appliances begin to malfunction, gas begins to flow out of her fireplace, and the lights go out. Mulder attempts to cancel his credit card and spots a drone spying on him. Presuming the operator to be a nosy child, he demands they stop before eventually breaking it with a baseball bat. Larger drones appear and retrieve the remains, and hundreds of tiny drones break into his home, forcing him to flee. Mulder arrives at Scully's house but finds it has locked itself. Scully, smelling gas, breaks a screen door to escape as a robotic vacuum cleaner runs over a dropped match and causes an explosion. Unable to call 911 on their phones, they are chased by drones. The agents attempt to flee, discarding their phones and other traceable electronics. They take shelter in a warehouse that turns out to be filled with quadrupedal robots, and are ultimately cornered by a robot which returns Mulder's phone. Confronted with the Forowa tip screen, Mulder blatantly tips the restaurant 10%, causing the machines to retreat and the devices to stop harassing them. The next morning, Mulder and Scully have breakfast in a human-operated diner, paying with paper money, and ultimately putting their phones aside, sitting in contemplation and holding hands.
Thank you. But before I begin, you said allegedly about the chatbot. You know that's right. That's true.
That's true. I don't know if it was true at the time or was it true afterwards.
No, it was true at the time. It was in 2016, like I said. They're talking about Microsoft Tay.
Ah, okay. I wasn't sure if that was the one they were actually on about in the timeline of it. Okay, so that did happen.
Yeah, Microsoft Tay was a Microsoft AI which famously only lasted on Twitter for 16 hours. Because, much like it described at the start of episode, trolls started interacting with it by trying to teach it about Gamergate and red pilling, essentially. And it responded, because it responds based on what you taught to it, by spewing out a lot of racist tweets. So therefore, they had to take Tay offline. I think it's an acronym. It's something like Microsoft Thinking About You or something like that.
Oh, lovely.
Mm.
Well, it's not that dissimilar to one of Grok's infamous meltdowns, the Twitter X, whatever we call it these days, bot that Elon Musk is so proud of.
I gave up on Twitter a while ago. I don't know, to be honest.
It was. There's been some recent blow-ups of it sort of being delivered. Not so
Is
much
Grok their AI then?
Yeah, it's not so much though. A lot of it's not so much the fact that it's learning bad habits. It's the fact that at HQ someone seems to be sort of trying to push it in certain directions, and that never ends well. Because whatever it's doing normally, it operates about as well as the rest of them. But if they try and push it in certain directions, it does weird things.
I don't understand why this still comes as a surprise to mega corporations. Because if you follow my stream, you know one of my favourite quotes comes from Community, and it's "Man is evil."
Yes.
Because if you are going to give the public, this is Boaty McBoatface all over again, the public will do exactly what you don't want them to do.
True, although you can't deny that in the case of Elon Musk that he's actually fine with this kind of crap. This is actually what he does, so he wouldn't object that much.
Well, man is evil.
Yes, only when it blows up. But your whole point was that you release something that learns from the internet and people deliberately start believing it misinformation.
Because man is evil.
Because man is evil. Elon Musk is all for that, though, so it's not he hasn't learned anything. It's like, yeah, I want it to be rubbish.
But I think more back, maybe 2016 when this happened, in our pre-COVID happier world, Microsoft released it with the best of intentions and thought that this would be a nice, optimistic thing they could do, and didn't realise the fact that the kind of people who will interact with this on Twitter are horrendous jerks.
Yes. That said, I can't disagree with all that. It's kind of detached from the actual contents of the episode, because they try and make that make sense in context, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the events of the episode.
Really, this episode is following on a lot from pre-existing X-Files themes about the dangers of technology and AI in particular.
Yeah, and I know this episode was highly rated, but I've always, I'm very annoying, I know, but the fundamental flaw to me with the episode is the actual premise doesn't make a lot of sense.
Go on, elaborate.
Okay, so all the events of the episode are, well, Mulder got given the wrong thing when he ordered from the restaurant. So that is a fault of the restaurant. For whatever reason, we don't quite understand how this works. And if I was being really nitpicky, I don't understand why there's doors to the kitchen. Given everything comes through the conveyor belts, through the hidden chutes and everything, why Mulder can walk into the kitchen and see the robot cooking?
Maybe for maintenance.
Maybe for maintenance, but then you'd think you'd have external hatches and things if this is meant to be a fully automated sushi restaurant. Which we did look up, and they have existed, but they don't. It's basically China, isn't it? Japan doesn't do this.
Japan has done it in the past.
But not sushi, I think. It was not other restaurants.
It was not sushi. The most popular one, I'm not sure if it's a chain or a singular restaurant, when I looked it up, was in China. And they do boast the fact that essentially every process is automated, not by the same robot, by different robots. And the fact that they have a menu of, I think it was 200 different traditional Chinese meals that these robots can produce.
Yeah. And it's one of the things where you want to say, it's like a lot of other AI mostly in these days in creative industries of, while this is possible, you don't want it to, because there goes your entire career. Like, sushi chefs are done for if this took off.
It's something you often hear of automation is taking away jobs.
Yeah, and a lot of people would some people take the over-exaggerated stance, and it's like, oh, so you're like the saddle salesman or the horse and carriage salesman when the motor car came in. And there is a bit of that at the same time. What are people going to do when this comes in and takes their job? Because we're rapidly running out of things. I guess
your argument there is the horse and carriage salesman could still sell cars.
They could still sell cars. They can shift to a different thing.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this as well, and you get things like when, shut down coal mining and everything. And
hot button topic in the UK.
Hot button topic in the UK and in other places as well. And just whenever they shut down a industry like that, and it's one of those, in terms of the long-term health of the planet, yes, it should be shut down.
Hmm.
It does destroy people's livelihoods. The problem always seems to be, though, that they legislatively shut down that department, or it becomes uneconomically feasible, and no one does anything for the workers.
No.
And it's like the north in the UK where Margaret Thatcher shut down all the steelworks.
My homeland.
Your homeland. And they didn't put any money into retraining any of the people who worked on those steelworks. They just shut them down.
Mm.
And it's that disconnect of process that no one follows through. It's like, you can shut these things down. You have to do something to the people you have now put out of a job, unless you're going to give them universal basic income, which no one wants to do.
It's kind of notorious where I'm from, because I'm from the north where the steel industries were in the war times.
Yeah.
And it used to be that 90% of people in that area were connected to the steelworks in some way. And then it was just a bit, too bad, so sad. Your entire job is automated now. Off you go. And as you say, there was just nothing there to protect the workforce.
Yes, and we can also point to, when we've gone back to visit your parents, the small town that I used to live in is now becoming much more trendy, much bigger, because everyone is going there because there's more things there. Whereas the steel town and the shipbuilding down the coast is a ghost town because there's nothing there.
Yeah, no prizes for guessing where I'm from on that basis. But yeah, the area I grew up now is a bit of a ghost town when you go back, to be fair. It used to be notorious where a lot of people said it wasn't a very attractive place anyway because of the steel industry. And now it's, well, there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's like all the big shops are moving up the coast a bit to where I used to live, which is now becoming more and more prosperous.
Yes.
And more busy. Which is just frankly baffling. Go back when I used to live there, which is far too long ago now. 30 years?
Okay.
Oh my God.
You're aging yourself now,
I am
sir.
it, yes. But 30 years ago, it was just the small local town that the other place had everything else.
Mm.
It's quite interesting. Somehow this whole episode, which is kind of throwaway, is deeply political in its implications, kind of.
Yeah, well, it is if you're a Northern English person anyway.
But potentially for all
We've
of us...
never forgiven Thatcher about the coal mines.
But potentially for all of us with AI as an automative thing, is that no one's interested in how to transition you into to working with the AI or anything. It's replace your jobs with the AI.
Yeah.
And I saw a comic or a quote someone had taken out of Twitter or Blue Sky or somewhere, which was the whole problem with AI as it's been currently presented to us is we want it AI so that we don't have to do the washing and the dishes.
Yeah.
So we can focus on the creative stuff. But currently, the AI is doing the creative stuff and we're left with the boring, mundane tasks.
And
we don't want that.
AI has been a huge problem for creatives and all the rest of it.
Absolutely. Just people deciding to try and rely on it for generating all kinds of things. And it's not even getting past the fact that it almost always looks terrible or it can't make an inconsistency.
It's something that's improved
rather
rapidly, in fact. But there is still something uncanny valley about AI.
You can always tell an AI image.
Yeah.
It's not good enough to sort of just be flat out accepted. And I did read somewhere that one of the real key problems with using it in the film industry is when you don't actually have the artist on hand, you sort of get the computer to generate you so many images or something to sort of say, this is what we want as ideas.
Mm.
And then you say, I want that, but slightly different, is you can't actually feed that back into the computer. You need a human person who understands what you're asking to do that. And they don't want to pay them. Anyway, we veered wildly off.
Anyway, back to the robots.
Back to the robots. The fundamental premise of the episode, though, is... So, Mulder gets given the wrong thing at the restaurant. And he pays, he's happy to pay, he doesn't want a tip. And then the robots of the restaurant marshal and robot army, for better wonderful word, and decide to antagonize Mulder and Scully for the rest of their evening. Even though they go for Scully and they really should just focus on Mulder, but they go for both of them for some reason.
Even using some things that I'm not sure they'd be able to reprogram. This is like the robot uprising in Futurama.
Yeah.
Because I can buy things like the driverless car and Scully's security system. The Roomba and the vibrator I've got more questions about.
I want to say you can get internet-connected vibrators. They do exist.
Why?
Well, there is actually a logical explanation. You want to hear this? You have not heard this?
I want to know why it needs more than a little rotating motor, to be honest.
Okay. So, there are two primarily drivers for this.
Okay.
First is long-distance relationships.
So your other half is controlling it remotely?
Yes, they have control over it, so they can affect how it's affecting you in your remote location.
Okay, I can see.
So
Why would Scully have one of these?
Good question.
Okay, any second one?
The second one, I don't know how well this actually works. I've seen it bandied around a few places. Is some online adult sites can sync action on screen to sex toys.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the other reason for it.
So we have taken away from this the fact that Scully watches more porn than Mulder, I'm going with.
That would be one way of taking it, yes. Because as you said, logically, she has no need for anything other than battery operated because she has a human person she can share her bed with on a regular basis, as far as I can tell. Unless she's getting that frisky all the time. Anyway, we don't know.
Never again taught us much about Scully.
That it did. She does have a sex drive. The ultimate point of the episode, though, is that Mulder didn't leave a tip. And there is one thing that you can get to tipping culture. One of them is Japan doesn't have tipping culture, like, at all.
No, it's considered rude.
Yeah, and so you can argue around that with the whole, while this may be styled as a sushi restaurant, we don't know who built it or who programmed the robots. They could easily be done by Americans just to present a sushi restaurant.
To be fair, I'm not sure if Forowar is a real world or if this is a...
I think it's a made-up one.
Yeah.
I think it is actually...
They have written it in katakana, which is the Japanese way of writing out words that don't exist in the Japanese language.
Yeah.
So it could be that there has to be a Japanese word for follower, let's be honest.
Is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as much effort as they went to for Kitsungari, where they actually had to create a new kanji for the concept. Which is still one of the wildest things they've ever done.
Yeah.
But my whole objection was it that the robots want a tip. And that meal cost, what, like $50 or something? It was quite expensive, I think, but it wasn't...
Sushi is quite dear.
It is, and it was like $50-ish or something. So Mud leaves them basically a $5 tip in the end. That's what he gives them. And I think we were discussing it even while watching it, and there are a few ways you break this down and it sort of go, wait. The first of which is, they're robots. You give real people tips because they spend that money to survive, because traditionally waiters and waitresses are underpaid, aren't they?
In America they are, yes.
Yeah, in America
in the UK, tipping culture is different, just for people listening to this show, because I understand people don't always understand this. In the UK, waiting staff do get at least a minimum wage. So tipping is seen as a courtesy of they've gone above and beyond, therefore you give them some money to appreciate that. It's not a necessity in the same way as it is in America, where you are supposed to tip no matter what.
Yeah, and then you get the really baffling things of your tips are taxed, which also feels like, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You're underpaying these people and you're taxing.
But in America, it's because there is no minimum wage, I believe, for waiting staff, and therefore you're basically paying them.
Yeah. So, in terms of real people, it's like, yeah, they need that money for their transport, for their clothes, for their food, for rent, etc., etc. Robots don't need that.
No.
As far as we could... unless robots have social lives, I mean, maybe they do, but that's getting into a very... That's Futurama. That's Futurama, yeah. And Futurama itself struggles with the robots sometimes, where you get to points where they go, wait, why do these robots exist? Who built Hedonism Bot and why?
Hedonism Bot's my favourite thing in Futurama.
Like, what is he for?
Hedonism.
I know, Bender at least has a function, as much as he barely seems to do it. And all the rest of it gets very strange. But yeah, so one was, I don't understand why the robots need the money. The other, and it's kind of a more sort of philosophical thing of, the amount of power these robots have wasted pursuing that tip is far greater than the value of that tip. It's absolutely absurd how much they have to have spent.
I've got to assume that battery life is way better over there as well for some of these. Because, well, you're aware, I constructed in one of my fits of madness, a quadcopter out of Lego once.
Yeah.
And its battery life, it's only a tiny little thing, and it's got all of about 10-minute battery life to it.
Oh yeah, those things were just running, weren't they?
Yeah, but, it's a little thing and it's got to be light enough to fly, so it can't have a massive battery on the back of it.
Yeah. And on top of that as well, it just feels like I kind of understand why they wind up in the 3D printing factory at the same time, of all the places you wound up. But 3D printing doesn't let you produce usable firearms. Because I know what they're thinking, because 3D printed guns, ghost guns or whatever they are
technically they exist.
They do exist. They're a problem with 3D printers that people have not quite figured out how to where the legislation lies.
Mm.
They don't work like that, though. You print the pieces and then you have to put them together, and that's your ghost gun. It's not. It doesn't print a stream of shells
kind of
or
a
something.
bandolier and fire it off.
And then, fires it without a mechanism as well, though, because it just sort of shoots off the bandolier.
Did you spot, actually, while you're talking about that scene, that this man appeared in that scene as well?
I did not, actually.
There was an image of him behind the 3D printer.
Ah, okay.
Which some fans have been led to believe that it means that we're supposed to be in the simulation still. You know, this is like a dream, and why the episode's got that weird dreamlike quality to it.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, we talked about this man a few episodes back, and he does keep appearing.
I understand that appeal. I think the problem is we're never given an exit from the simulation, if that's the case. It means that the entire series is happening in simulation at that case.
I have heard fan theories of, because we've had the concept of Silicon Heaven from this, the fact that maybe all of this is happening in Silicon Heaven.
The ultimate get-out clause,
The Matrix has us,
Yeah. It's one of the things I think as I get older, I become less and less receptive to that kind of thinking, because it's that I see where you're coming from. You are aware of how disastrous this is for the stakes for your series if you decide to push this. Basically, nothing has any value.
Yeah, it's basically the,
It's all a dream.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it Dallas? Where he wakes up in the shower and it was all a dream?
Well, Dallas is infamous what is she wakes up.
She wakes up and he's in the shower,
And they've taken one, I can't remember how many seasons it is. There's at least one season that's been junked because of them doing this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something you don't find happening very often anymore.
No. My problem with this episode, and I actually like it, to be fair. I think it's a perfectly fun episode. I'm going to go with, I've got two problems here. One is it's a bit of an experimental episode, and when we've only got 4 episodes remaining, I don't think this is the time to experiment.
I was about to say that as well. You don't have the time. It's remarkable you've got season 11. You can't waste time on this anymore. Because I was thinking about that when we were watching it, and it's like, again, you would go back to Darren Morgan or something, and he realised he had 2 shots. One is the unmade Kolchak script.
Yes.
And the second is Goodbye to the X-Files. And he went for them. It's like, you can't do this kind of episode now.
Yeah.
And that led to our theory that they thought they were getting 6 episodes again.
Mm.
And somewhere later on they said, you're getting 10. And they said, hell. What are we going to do for the other 4?
Yeah.
Because it's clearly, the 2 my struggles, Darren Morgan's one, this has to be one of the ones they prepared for. Possibly Kitten?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was, that one feels more planned than some of them.
Yeah.
That's because I think Familiar is very much, we have to get this out. And we know for sure that Ghoulie Ghoulie was planned and then mangled.
Mm.
I've lost count now, but
yeah.
I think they thought they were getting 6 episodes and they 10 through them.
Yeah. Maybe.
So what's your second problem?
That this is a Black Mirror plot?
Yes, you can't really get away from that one.
Yeah, I must admit as well, I'm a huge fan of Black Mirror, and I think if this had been made as a Black Mirror plot, it would be a subpar one. Because there are much better... In fact, this concept is done better in Black Mirror.
Well, it also have a nihilistic ending, because it's like San Bernardino, isn't it? Is like the only happy ending Black Mirror ever has.
I heard someone say there have been 3 happy endings, and I'd love to know what their definition of happy is.
But San Bernardino is the big one, isn't it?
San Bernardino does have a happy ending. I guess you'd probably argue the USS McAllister does as well.
I suppose so, though they're getting a sequel episode, so presumably not that good.
It's got it now. I haven't actually watched the more recent. I haven't watched the last season of it yet.
I remember it was getting another one. It's like, it's not that great for them.
It's still a bit of a bittersweet ending, that one. And I couldn't say for the life of me, because usually they're incredibly, incredibly dark episodes. Just warning, with Black Mirror is, if we were doing a Black Mirror podcast, I'd have to put every content warning under the sun on it.
But I thought that was the whole point of Black Mirror, though, is it's the bad ending. It's, technology, this is the problem with technology.
Yep, I've just had to Google the episode I'm thinking of in question, but there is a season 4 episode of Black Mirror called Metalhead, which is in a world where robots have taken over and largely wiped out humanity, and it's one woman being possessed by essentially one of those quadrupedal kind of dog robots, much like the ones we see at the end of this episode. So, we've already got that concept in Black Mirror done better, done a lot darker, and with, of course, the typical Black Mirror very, very bleak ending.
Exactly, and it does. So I think that's the other problem, is that the ending is really weird because we're going very much for analog better.
Yeah.
At the same time, not all modern technology is bad. Like, paying with your card on, like, just using debit cards directly is really convenient. Or paying on your phone is really convenient. Paper money is actually inherently... There's a whole debate about paper money versus electronic money these days, especially with unhoused people, because it sort of makes you unable to give anything to anyone. So I understand there's that complication there. But it's convenient if you are in good conditions.
You also have the pros and cons of everything. It's like, if you live away from your family, the internet and WhatsApp and things like that are absolute godsends so people can stay connected.
Absolutely.
I know they've also got their negative uses, of course, because you can't talk about the positive things about the internet without talking about the negative. No. But, I like to think that man isn't as evil as I make out, and the good outweighs the bad.
It would be nice. And I get the point of Mulder and Scully being absolutely fixated on their phones, but you also want to say, guys, that's pointing to a flaw in your relationship if you're on a date and you can't put your phones down.
See, as always, I hit Reddit for this to see what the fans thought at the time, and most people loved this episode.
I know, it got such high marks when it came out.
It's got rave reviews, but I saw a few people commenting on the fact that this feels like either fanfiction or a parallel world Mulder and Scully, because the Mulder and Scully we know aren't obsessed with technology.
No.
So when you see Scully going into her completely automated fortress that she's never been shown living in before... It's like it's some fan idea of what the character is like rather than how she actually behaves.
Yes, I would say there is that. Mm. I do like Mulder lampshades it by just asking, why is your house so much nicer than mine?
Yeah.
And it's one of those, well, I don't know either, Mulder. It's inexplicable she lives in it.
The robots blow up the house, so we'll never see it again.
No, and that and another point is that you kind of the whole, Chris Carter, you're a showrunner, you're meant to actually be able to you meant to understand these things and pick them up and sort of guide everything. And I understand for a joke you can have Scully's apartment look like that because we haven't seen where Scully lives since season 9, I think. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen anything about where she lives anymore, have we?
No, true.
So that's the explanation for that, at least. But you pointed out, there's someone missing from Scully's house. Daggoo. And I think, unfortunately, we can also point to no one on staff likes Scully having a dog except Darren Morgan, and because he's the only one who ever did anything with Queequeg.
Yeah.
And since there was nowhere to put him into Forehead Sweat, Daggoo didn't get him up there. So Scully's either killed or put her dog up for adoption.
Or Daggoo was sleeping in a back room and has just been blown up.
And Scully shows no remorse.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing at all. That's not good. But yeah, no, I do remember that everyone was raving about this episode and it just left me cold, frankly. And I think, more than anything, it comes back to your point, though, of this is wasting time when you've got this extra chance, you have so little time left, you should be doing whatever you can to get the ending to make sense. Like, you possibly should have split my struggle over multiple episodes or something, just so you can get everything in.
Yeah.
I don't really want that, but if this is how you're going to end the series, you should do more with it, because you're likely not going to get another shot.
No.
And it's been 7 years, and nothing is heaving into view.
Yeah, it's starting to feel increasingly unlikely, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been over a few times that Gillian Anderson apparently doesn't want to come back. She'll do a cameo. I think she'll be happy with that, but she's not come back to it full time.
I think she made a comment recently about, with regards to the supposed reboot reimagining, that she would be happy to do a cameo if she was approached, or something to that effect. And it got fans really excited, thinking that she was going to be coming back to the X-Files.
It's like, no, she's happy to do a walk-on thing.
Yeah.
We've veered off. I don't know if we've got much else for this episode.
No, it's because it's largely a silent episode, and that was part of the idea behind it, is that apparently it's something that Glenn Morgan has done in other series as well, but he wanted to write an episode with next to no dialogue.
Yeah.
And he's succeeded. It's a perfectly enjoyable episode.
It is. It's just, I think we come back to our popular one of placement. Does this belongs season 4, maybe? When you could do the weird stuff.
When we commented, I think, back in season 3 and 4, when X-Files had become popular and they were allowed to just try new things and throw things out more.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I read the articles postulating that Humbug was probably the most important X-Files episode because it was the first truly experimental one, because it just followed all the rules and did its own thing.
Yeah.
And opened the floodgates out for doing comedy, for doing weird stuff.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, it belongs in season 3 and 4 when the X-Files was at its height and could do whatever it wanted and people would tune in.
Yeah, I guess your only generous thing to say why it's here is the fact that the X-Files in the last 2 seasons has leaned towards being more techno kind of sci-fi.
Yeah. So I understand that point. Why
we did have it previously because you had Kill Switch, you had Ghost in the Machine, you had Blood. You know, there were always the technological ones.
Yeah, it's not a new thing.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's primarily it's that it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong here. It's too late to be playing around with this. We could have used this for something just to tie up the loose ends we've got hanging around.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's have another full episode, shall we? So we follow up with Familiar. And we're going to try and not talk about a different episode it kind of resembles.
Oh, we're going to mention that.
We are. So this one's directed by Holly Dale, written by Benjamin Van Allen, and first broadcast on the 7th of March 2018. So, wow, some of these other things these people have been in is quite interesting.
Okay.
So Erin Chambers is Anna Strong.
Okay, yep.
She was in Free Willy 2, The Adventure Continues. I went to see that at the cinema. But also The Cat Returns.
Oh, the
Ghibli.
The Ghibli one.
Yeah. Following on from that, there's Jason Gray Stanford, who played Officer Rick Eggers.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Ranma Half.
Okay.
And Millennium. And Harsh Realm. Roger Cross, who was Officer Wentworth. So, he was in Free Willy 3, The Rescue. What the hell?
I didn't even know there was a third one.
I knew there was a third one. I've never seen it. X-Men 2.
Okay.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Ah.
He's also been in Star Trek Enterprise.
Okay.
Millennium. Orphan Black. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Keeps
oh my
coming
god.
back.
I know. It's got to be filmed in Vancouver. It's the only thing I can think of.
Mm.
And we've seen him in a few episodes. He was in EBE.
Okay.
Fresh Bones.
Ah.
Pusher.
Ah.
Folie à Deux.
Okay. He's in a lot of these.
He is. And he's also in Fallout New Vegas, Saints Row 3, and Bioshock Infinite.
Okay.
As various voices, unfortunately, but... Would you like to tell us why this episode feels so... getting some deja vu about it?
You could have said familiar.
Yeah, but that's the title. You can't just say this episode feels so familiar. That doesn't work as a joke, does it?
Our story this time is set in Eastwood, Connecticut. We are introduced to a small boy called Andrew as he is playing with his terrifying best friend, a toy called Mr. Chuckleteeth, and introduces you to his theme song. You'll hear it a lot in this episode. While his mother is distracted, the boy spots a life-sized Mr. Chuckleteeth waving at him from the forest. When the mom turns round, she notices that Andrew has completely vanished. Andrew's mom, whose name for ease is actually Diane, searches for him as we see Andrew following Mr. Chuckleteeth deeper into the forest. Hours later, there is a full police search for the boy, which includes Andrew's father, Rick. They find only his mangled corpse. The killing of a law enforcement officer's child puts the case into FBI jurisdiction, and Mulder and Scully are selected to investigate. Mulder initially believes that the culprit could be either a coy wolf, a hybrid of a wolf and a coyote, or possibly a hellhound. Scully performs an autopsy on Andrew and notices neck injuries which are more consistent with him being shaken to death, and she says that instead profiles a human serial offender. During the same examination, Mulder finds a grainy substance, possibly sand or salt, on the boy's ankle. Mulder then visits the home of Chief Strong, head of the local police force. While speaking with Chief Strong's wife Anna, he notices they have several books on the town's history, including witchcraft trials on their shelves. Chief Strong's daughter Emily was with Andrew at the park, and she tells Mulder that she saw Mr. Chuckleteeth in the forest just before Andrew was killed. She also reveals, pointing at the TV set, that Mr. Chuckleteeth is a popular children's television character. At the police department, Rick searches the local sex offenders database and finds a man named Melvin Peter. When Scully and Chief Strong head out to look for Rick, they spot him racing away in a patrol car, presumably after this sex offender. They chase him down just as he reaches Peter's house and breaks in, brandishing a gun. Mulder, Scully and Chief Strong find that Peter is not home, but discover numerous pictures of Peter performing as a clown at children's parties. Inside his closet, they find various costumes, which includes a Mr. Chuckleteeth mask and shoes. Meanwhile, we see Emily lured outside her house by characters from a Teletubby-esque cartoon that she's been watching. She is later found dead, killed in exactly the same way as Andrew, and Mulder finds a circle of salt drawn around her body, suggesting witchcraft was involved. When Peter, the sex offender, returns to the neighbourhood, Rick violently attacks him. Mulder confronts Chief Strong and forces him to admit that he has been unfaithful to his wife with Rick's wife. Chief Strong is also aware that witchcraft is involved and that Peter is not their suspect. As Rick continues to savagely attack Peter, a crowd gathers around them. Peter, huddled over on the floor, denies killing any children. The police arrive and try to disperse the mob. However, when they fail, Mulder fires his gun repeatedly into the air. Rick is dragged away from Peter, but suddenly and unexpectedly pulls out his service weapon and shoots Peter dead. After Rick is put out on bail, he goes home and confronts his wife Diane about the affair that she had with Chief Strong. Diane leaves the house and drives onto the freeway. There she runs into the Hellhound in Andrew's form and flips her car, swerving to avoid him. Rick breaks into Chief Strong's house and encounters Mr. Chuckleteeth. He chases Mr. Chuckleteeth to the front of the house, where he finds that Chief Strong has arrived home and is pointing a gun at him. As Mulder and Scully arrive, they find that Rick has been shot dead. Fleeing the house, Chief Strong finds Diane's overturned car in the road and follows what he believes to be Diane to the woods. However, we as the viewer see Diane's mauled corpse lying on the forest floor, presumably having been killed by the Hellhound. Mulder and Scully head into the woods and eventually come across Chief Strong. Chief Strong has already found his wife Anna standing in the middle of the salt circle in the woods, holding a grimoire, a kind of spell book that allows you to summon demons. Strong realises that his wife summoned the demon to get revenge on Diane for the affair, but at that point the Hellhound kills him. Mulder and Scully find Anna standing over Chief Strong's body and rush to stop her. She casts another spell, attempting to steal away the entity she has summoned and can't control, but it backfires and causes her to burst into flames and die. Afterwards, Scully delivers the grimoire, which did not burn, to the authorities as she and Mulder leave the town. As they drive away, we as the viewer see the playground equipment start to move on its own.
Thank you. So, you know we were saying about you can't mess around with experimental episodes?
We've gone back to kind of old school X-Files here.
We have, but it's hard not to make a list of, we've seen this done better before, because D. Handa is the one you kept pointing to.
D. Handa Divilets is very similar, where you have 4 kids playing at summoning a demon and actually succeeding, and the chaos it wreaks, killing them all.
Yeah, Chimera is a big point of comparison.
Chimera...
Ravens and mirrors.
Oh, it's the ones with the ravens and mirrors, I remember.
Yeah.
And the woman manifesting into a monster.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that.
That one doesn't actually involve any witchcraft, though, in the end.
It doesn't, but it's not dissimilar enough, I think.
No.
And there's a few bits and pieces here and there you could point to as well.
I guess it also ties in with the religious ones, like Revelation.
Yeah.
Where we've already seen kind of like angelic and demonic beings.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that, and we'll get to it because the episode has a point it's wanted to make and it's not subtle about it. But it's really hard not to get hung up on the production design.
Mm.
Because, so, we have Mr. Chuckleteeth, and we have the Teletubbies, and we've got to talk about them because whoever designed them doesn't understand how, for want of a better word, creepypasta works.
We talked about creepypasta not long ago, didn't we?
That was Ghoulie.
It was Ghoulie, yeah.
But they don't understand how creepypasta... The production designer doesn't understand how creepypasta works. Or how the weird theories about things like Teletubbies work.
What weird theories do we get? What's weird about Teletubbies?
Well, I don't know. All that's coming to mind is a Tubby custard machine, and it's not that.
Tubby Custard?
Yeah. You've played, amongst other things, I'm thinking it's primarily Bending the Ink Machine, but Poppy's Playtime and Five Nights at Freddy's also kind of fit the bill.
I have streamed some of these, yes.
You have streamed some of these. You've Poppy's Playtime and Bending the Ink.
Yeah.
Or the sequel to Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Bendy and the Dark Revival.
And one of the points of those is all the cute, there's cute mascots in them who turn out to be horrible entities. It's basically the gist behind a lot of them.
Yeah, it's based around the idea of taking something that would have given a child's comfort and making it a threat to a child, is the general gist of how this sort of what we call mascot horror works.
Yeah. But one of the key important parts of it, from my understanding and from everything I've seen, because I've seen you play these, I've seen the Five Nights at Freddy's films and seen bits and pieces here and there, is usually you have to have two distinct forms. You have to have the friendly child one that, if you are the kind of person who makes creepypasta on the internet, you can point out the features of it where the uncanny valley creeps in, or something about the design isn't quite right, and you can branch off into making it into horror. And then for the horror pose, you have a variant or a completely different form, which is outwardly meant to be horrific.
Poppy Playtime probably encapsulates that pretty well, and just for a shameless plug, if you go to my Camber42 YouTube channel, you can watch a Let's Play of all 4 chapters of that.
Yeah.
But, for example, in the 3rd chapter of Poppy Playtime, the monsters were called Smiling Critters. So, in particular, the big bad one is called Catnap. And in his little plushy form, which you see at the very start of the 1st chapter, you see a little animation of them all as plushies, and he is just, like a little teddy bear cat with a wide black mouth.
Yeah.
And then you see Catnap as a monster in the game, and it's this thing that's like 10 feet tall, skeletal with long limbs, and just the gaping mouth stretching to its ears and all the rest of it. So you've turned what would be a fairly cute little cuddly toy that you would give to a child into something terrifying that's going to eat you.
Yeah, and you can see the linkage. You can see where one is a warped version of the other.
Yeah.
They make sense as two versions of the same entity, basically.
Yeah.
All this is a build-up to say, because of both mascots we see, is like, Mr. Chuckleteeth is already the scary form. It's not appealing.
He looks like a ventriloquist dummy.
He does. But he looks like the monstrous form you'd find in one of your mascot horror games.
Yeah. And then he's got a more monstrous form after that.
Then he's got more monstrous form, and it's like, but you've missed the objective. Because I don't think... Because we've often commented, because we go to conventions every now and again, that kids are really into Five Nights at Freddy's. And that's just kind of baffling when you get down to it, on a whole range of things.
I saw when I started streaming Poppy Playtime that there are a lot of websites aimed at adults explaining who Huggy Wuggy is. Because, as we've noticed, because I've got a few of them, I've photographed them for my Blue Sky account, you can buy plush toys of the cute Poppy Playtime things. And it was, Huggy Wuggy a few years ago was a really popular Christmas gift for children. And it was explaining to parents exactly what Huggy Wuggy was in this horror game that he's from.
Yeah. But you understand, but you can see why that it looks like a child's toy. It's appealing as a child's toy.
It's the kind of thing that you would buy for a child, I guess, if you didn't know what it was, if you just saw it on a shelf.
Yeah. You can understand, it works both ways. You can understand if they like it, and you can understand if they don't like it, it looks like a cute toy.
Yeah.
Mr. Chuckleteeth doesn't have that capacity. It's the parent should be saying, no, we're not watching this stuff.
I'm not having it in my house, it's cursed.
It's cursed. And it's more so, we'll come back to Mr. Chuckleteeth though, because I want to talk to the Teletubbies, because they're not really part of this, but at the same time, their design is even worse. It's they look like what someone's mocked up for a creepypasta video, don't they? This is, you'd have this playing in the background of Five Nights at Freddy's or something to make a weird point of some.
Well, there is kind of a creepypasta about that. It's Candle Cove.
Yeah.
Which is the one about the TV show that people remember, but they can't evidence it exists, essentially. And the more you describe it, the more terrifying it sounds.
Yeah. And it's just seeing them, though, looking at them, it's like the Teletubbies. People can get creeped out by the Teletubbies, but you have to read into the design because they're very unthreatening.
In part of it, it's the creepiness of how positive it is as well. They live in this happy world where the sun always shines, but it has a baby's face.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the whole... People feel there has to be the downside to that. There has to be the flip side to everything.
Yeah.
And I understand how you're getting there. I don't really care because I don't know why you're doing this to the children's TV stuff, but fair enough. This is, Pokemon is ashes in a coma the entire time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's like, I don't know why you think this is a good idea because you've just, the stakes of your series is just gone again. But the Teletubby things in this episode they're not appealing at all. Like, you can't see a child wanting to watch the things.
They were called the Bibble Tiggles. I just googled it up.
What I think as well, though, it's the glimpse you get of the two shows, though, is like Mr. Chuckleteeth has more effort put into it, even though it looks really cheaply and hastily shot because it almost certainly was.
It's got that kind of Pee-wee's Funhouse sort of look to it.
It looks like a 90s thing that was done on almost zero budget.
It's actually based on a 70s thing.
Oh, okay.
It's I think I mentioned it to you, and it's something that everyone should Google if they never want to sleep again. But there's a UK TV series from the 70s called Jigsaw, which featured a character called Mr. Nosybonk.
Oh, okay.
And seriously, when Nick's questioning who would watch Mr. Chuckleteeth on TV, Google Mr. Nosybonk because he's kind of terrifying to the nth degree.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to hold up a picture of it so Nick can see this.
I'm very curious. Yeah, that'll do it. That cannot be a real still, though.
Okay, but this one is.
Yeah, I believe that one. It's giving me Threshold Kid vibes for Control. It's the kind of thing you'd actually get in that.
Yeah, or Candle Cove.
Oh, Candle Cove.
I mean, Candle Cove featured the Skin Taker.
Yes. But I think what I'm getting in both of these is, with time and distance, there's a certain amount of stuff where it's a popular point, isn't it, that 70s and 80s children's media aren't acceptable anymore, or aren't acceptable in the same way. I'm thinking things like Watership Down. It's people get really hung up on how that used to be classified as a children's cartoon, and it's been reclassified, I think. I can't remember how high
it's a higher rating now.
I can't remember how high it went. Is it just PG, or has it gone higher than that?
As of 2023, it's a PG.
It's a PG. Oh, it's only a PG, but still.
I still think it should be higher. I have vivid traumatic memories of rabbits being torn to bits.
Well, it used to be on like 3 o'clock in the afternoon in bank holidays and things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're, of course, going to bring up Raggedy Ann and Andy here.
Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure.
Yep.
My parents often hark back to that because as a kid I loved it. This used to be my thing that, kids have their fixations that they watched on loop. I watched that on loop, which explains so much about my psychology, I think, now. But my parents kind of commented that, they thought it was terrifying at the time and couldn't understand why, 5-year-old Kim wanted this horror show, psychedelic, trippy horror show thing on loop. And it is really scary if you watch it back, to be fair.
And what I'm kind of getting at is it's twofold of, so, yeah, there are some ways you can see that a child would be into, like, Mr. Chuckleteeth and the monstrous Teletubbies for whatever reason. At the same time, that's not how we make shows anymore.
No.
Because Mr. Chuckleteeth and Teletubbies thing is meant to be very modern. He's got merch. He cannot be that old.
I have heard people comment on the quality of kids' cartoons and how we had it a lot darker, though. Because you're bearing in mind things like Disney's Gargoyles had an episode about gun violence.
Well, yeah.
Where, essentially a young gargoyle got hold of a gun and accidentally shot someone with it. And then we also had Farthingwood, which featured the episode with a shrike impaling baby mice on thorns. So, they're things that you can't really imagine being on TV these days, especially on things aimed at little kids like they were on UK TV.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be debated about exactly why that's happening. I imagine some of it is because we've just changed how we think of what is acceptable to children, and a lot of it we can't avoid is parental interference of, my child cannot watch this, neither can any other child.
Yeah.
Is how it seems to be working.
But maybe there's more of parents' vigilance, because I can bet that my parents had no idea what kind of cartoons I was watching at the time. Because, they weren't watching them with me. It was just me sat watching CBBC.
Yeah. I don't know if the show's trying to get at the perception that parents don't have time to parent their children, which is a thing, and the only kind of fallout of that is either people want to push the trad wife thing, which is terrible, or they want to ban anything that's got the slightest amount of grit to it, which is also terrible.
Yeah.
And it's, parents can't parent their children. And I think that's what the episode is kind of trying to get at, where they're watching these shows that are completely inappropriate for them. But the mother's still there watching it with her child when Mulder talks to her, and apparently just shrugs at what this is and doesn't say, this is absolutely horrific, turn this off. Your Mr. Chuckleteeth doll's being burned tomorrow. I don't care.
Mr. Chuckleteeth.
The other problem, though, is that Mr. Chuckleteeth is almost irrelevant to the episode.
It's just the form that the Hellhound is taking to lure them. I don't think we actually see it in its true form ever.
I think we see it from behind. We see the dog form briefly.
Mulder sees a black dog at some point, and it's unclear if it is the Hellhound or just a dog.
Yeah. But then it's Mr. Chuckleteeth, though. Okay, so you've got this really stark, iconic character, which is like in the middle of the forest. That's kind of a cool visual.
I do really like that singular shot the first time you see him where he's just kind of leaning around the side of a TV and he kind of tilts his head and then pushes it back.
Yeah, that's good. That's weird and effective. I mean, despite my objections to the design, it's a good, curious hook to the episode.
Yeah.
And then he's just basically not in it until the police officer encounters him at the end when he's got the monstrous form, and then he's out.
Yeah.
It's like, this is probably the most interesting thing in the episode, and he's barely in it.
Yeah. But if you Google the episode, he's all you see.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because that's the only thing people can take away from the episode.
Mm.
Because ultimately the episode is trying to do a witch hunt thing, and I don't think it does it very well. I see they're trying to get at modern day lynch mobs and modern day, declarations of witches.
I think it's the idea that the same mentality still runs through today.
Yeah.
So, you had this paranoid where, Goody Smith over there is a witch, let's burn her, and the mob would go for her.
I love the fact you went for Goody Smith, because that's always the example.
They're always called Goody.
Well, it is Goody. It's always Goody Smith, and it's. I think one of the things I saw on Tumblr is actually, I saw Goody Smith traipsing with the devil last night, and the response is, "And how would you know that? Were you not also out there in the woods at the same time?"
You've seen this in a few modern things as well. There's the brilliant The Witch.
Yeah,
is a fantastic, fantastic film that I feel labeling it as a horror film completely detracts from how good Witch is. It's more than a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then you've got even ones like the Fear Street trilogy was all hinged around witch trials, essentially, as well.
Yeah.
Especially the third part where you actually had the flashback to show the witch trials that kind of sparked everything in motion taking place.
Yes. And I can see that's what they wanted the episode to be about.
Because we've shown that that's still running fresh when you have the fact that the police officer becomes absolutely fixed on this sex offender being the guilty party, to the point where he's dragged out onto the streets and publicly beaten as people cheer.
Well, even stoned briefly, he had one rock thrown in his head.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get that the whole, it's the whole guilt mob justice kind of thing, or the mob has decided you're guilty and they're not going to listen to any reason or try to stop it. They're going to get their person.
Yeah.
I get that. I think it feels a mistake then to actually have the witch in the episode.
Yeah.
Because you do that, you're trying to make a point that people will do mass hysteria. Copperfaders did this in a far funnier way, because there was always a question mark over how true any of the Roach stuff even was.
We've kind of had mob violence before in things like Syzygy?
Syzygy, the two girls. The two
yes,
friends.
the one where Mulder and Scully start behaving weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of goes down the whole mob violence route as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a new thing, and it's been done very well. It just feels like this is fine to make a point about, though you've done mass hysteria stories. We need another one. But and your twist this time is it's a sex offender, and specifically a child sex offender.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's also a hot button triggering aspect to it. And Mulder is trying to play the fairest here, sort of saying that Scully is even sort of feeding into this. I mean, the episode doesn't actually get around to the whole, this is largely Scully's fault for that profile she gave them.
Yeah.
Because he uses that to look up on the database and find the person who matches that exactly, even though he had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
And no one takes Scully to task for that.
Mind you, he does also have the pretty sound evidence that he's going on that the sex offender is still doing horrible, horrible things, because you've got all those photos of him being a children's clown and stuff, which I imagine if you're a sex offender, you're probably not supposed to do.
The implication is certainly he's driving away from the town or out of state or something so that he doesn't have to declare this is the situation.
Yeah.
He's not a good person, but what the episode is trying to
not guilty of what they found him guilty of.
And also, even if he was guilty, he needs a fair trial. He doesn't need the lynch mob.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get at. But we've complicated it by witchcraft is actually actively involved in this.
Yeah.
And that this guy who they go after has literally nothing to do with anything. Because I don't know quite how to deal with the fact that woman discovers her husband's having an affair and murders that woman's child. Isn't it like zero to madness too fast?
I think the argument is that was never the intent. She's summoned something she can't control. And I saw someone give it the generous argument on Reddit where they said it could be one of those things where you've got to be careful how you word it, because you've said, I want to hurt this person.
True.
And the best way to hurt a parent is to attack their child.
I can see that.
I'm not sure then why it deflects and attacks her own child and things like that.
See, that's where it gets really muddy very fast, isn't it? But
evidently, much like the kids in Dehanda, she has summoned something that's beyond her comprehension and her control.
Yeah, and it feels like Dehanda. The problem is Dehanda exists because I think Glenn Morgan.
Dehanda's a great episode as well.
Glenn Morgan and James Wong absolutely perfectly understood how to do that episode, and it's 45 minutes long. All the backstory you need is implied really gracefully. It's all set up perfectly. It pays off. You've got Mrs. Paddock, who is a fantastic villain of the week. All works. The problem with Familiar is it implies some backstory we're never getting, because I don't know how she got to using witchcraft in the first place.
Yeah.
Because that feels like...
She does exposit at some point that she has an interest in it. That's why when Mulder spots the books.
Yeah. But even so, having an interest in it is quite different from our PTA has been doing the dark satanic work for our entire adult life.
Yeah.
This is how we operate. We haven't kept the customs quite right, so Satan has come to collect his dues. Because that...
I still love to know where people find these grimoires in horror things as well. And not just your standard, here's a book on witchcraft I found.
Yeah. But it's like, Dehanda is, they're doing the old ways and they're just doing lip service to it because it's become like any other religion to them. They don't really think. The teenagers are messing with something they don't understand and trigger it by accident.
Yeah.
That all works fine. In this one, it's, I have an interesting local witchcraft. My husband is having an affair with this other woman. I will turn to my grimoires to go and do this, and not any of the other ways people deal with affairs.
And Natch, as well as all shallow people in these kind of things do, her anger is purely focused on that woman, not her husband at all.
Yeah, the husband is blameless, because it's always a seductress, isn't it? It's never that. Well, I was going to say, because we watched this just last week, is Weapons. Also made me think Weapons.
Okay. Try not to spoil it too
I'll try not to spoil it. I'm going none of the big reveals, so we're going to leave out that. This is all to do with the affair stuff. Okay. The whole point is Justine, one of the characters in the film, Justine, the school teacher, who is the teacher of the class where 17 students walk away. That's in the trailer, so I can't get into that.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
fine. They walk into the night. They walk into the night.
They don't come back.
They don't come back, and we don't know why. She basically seduces the cop, who's played by young Han Solo.
Yeah.
And the aftermath of that, given it's arranged out of order and everything, and we don't know they sleep with each other until a bit later, oddly enough. But that guy's fiancée follows her into a supermarket, pulls open a bottle of vodka, and just sort of splatters her with vodka and blames her for everything.
Yeah.
That relationship also seems to be through by implication from a few other bits and pieces in the film. But yeah, the direct aggression goes against the other woman. But that's a better setup. That's like the escalation of anger, isn't it? It's like that's what you do first, not jump to witchcraft. This is no spoilers for Weapons. That character is bare in the film, doesn't even get involved in the major plot.
But also for Weapons, without spoiling Weapons, because I do feel it's an excellent film that people should know nothing about before they go in.
Oh yeah, know it as little as possible.
No character in Weapons is blameless.
Yes.
And you do, even though characters may seem blameless at first, you learn more about them as the story goes on. Much like in his previous film, Barbarian was the same.
Well, I'd say I don't think.
Whereas in this, it's totally shallow. These characters only exist for a few scenes. Weapons takes the time to develop everyone.
Yes, and when you say blameless, it's like some of them have nothing to do with the incident. They're just not necessarily the nice people they're painted as. They have depths that you're not aware of.
Yes, which are uncovered as the story progresses.
You find out from different angles.
Yeah.
Go watch Weapons. It's much better than this.
Yeah. For just shameless plug, both of his films, Barbarian and Weapons, they're both horror movies. They're both a bit gory if you're not into that sort of thing. Particularly Barbarian is very gory.
Yeah. Well, Weapons will turn out to be gory, we could say.
It has moments of gore. I don't think it's as bad as Barbarian.
No. But I think of the one moment that's...
But the one thing that writer does is he writes brilliantly complex, detailed characters who have very, very big flaws.
Yes. And a lot of non-chronological work. Anyway, back to Familiar, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You just extol the virtues of Weapons all day. So yeah, I think that's where it suffers from Dehanda being in the same series.
Yeah.
Is Dehanda did basically all of this much more gracefully. And even Chimera, I think, handled the affair situation better. As much as Chimera is not a good episode.
Her rage feels focused in a clearer path.
Yes. You kind of understand more why it's happening. It's still a very convenient supernatural thing, but it's not... She didn't choose to go the magic route. It kind of happened in spite of it, didn't it?
It's almost a werewolf story. She's become so angry she's turning into a monster because she's trying to repress it.
Yes. And, that I buy. I don't buy my husband's having an affair, I will turn to my grimoire.
Hellhound it is!
Yeah. I mean, please write in and tell us if you have been moved to try witchcraft. I understand it's a teenage thing, that teenage curses and hexes are things people might try.
Oh, I had friends who used to do this in school.
I'm going to put a bet on that your success rate was minimal, and if it happened at all, it was very coincidental.
When I was a kid, The Craft was a very, very popular film.
Yeah.
And a lot of... Because I kind of, as you may be aware, move in sort of alt circles. I had a lot of friends who therefore declared themselves Wiccan with very little understanding of what Wiccan meant beyond The Craft.
Yeah.
So you'd be at your sleepovers doing your light as a feather, stiff as a board sort of things.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, yeah. So if this was teenagers, which you can't then have the children involved with, I could also see this. You might actually hit witchcraft faster than if you're an adult.
Oh, yeah.
But not wife of the chief of police of the area with daughter who watches terrifying children cartoons. Like, no. Or at least we have to have some hints they've also squabbled, but that would then put Anna on the suspect list far earlier.
To be fair, they kind of do the bold thing on this of making it so obvious it's Anna that you would discount her.
Yeah, I was
like,
that.
Oh, I've got a big interest in witchcraft. Here's my grimoire. oh, you are actually the person who did it.
Well, we couldn't remember how this worked because I thought it ended.
I assumed it had to be Diane, to be honest.
Well, it feels too easy, doesn't it, for it to be Anna? But no, it's just straight up. And as you said as well, it's the cliche of all affairs of a lot of. I suppose it's even real world affair stuff. Is the blame isn't directed at the right person? It's always the shameless hussy.
No one ever considers it takes two to tango.
Yeah. It's like, he could have resisted at any point in the way. It depends who came on to who.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's an autonomous being who has not had a spell cast on him and could therefore say, no, sorry, I am married.
Yes. Well, I mean, I also don't get it's the psychology of the affair also doesn't really direct to me as well because one of these things where you can get it's not acceptable, but you can get where he's coming from of wife is giving all her attention to the child because children need attention and you need to raise children and she's exhausted or something. She's not fulfilling his needs in the bedroom.
Okay.
That will then lead him to seek affection elsewhere.
Mm.
Okay, I get that. There are ways around this. You don't have to go the whole hog here. But if he's having an affair with a woman with a child who has a child of the same age, I don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she has a husband either.
I was just thinking in my head, if you made it Diane, you could do with this is a magical affair. She's wanted the husband, and then she's also wanted to get rid of his family.
Yeah.
So, he's been kind of glamoured into having this affair with her, and the Hellhound's been summoned to do away with his wife and kid.
Yeah.
You've got more of a kind of cause there and why this is happening and why certain people are being targeted. And I guess then you could maybe say she's bitten off more than she can chew and it's attacked her own kid as well.
Yes. Yeah, there are ways to do it. I have thought of another tack they could have done. Terms of endearment.
Yeah.
We have a demon woman who ran off with someone else's child at the end of that.
Yeah.
One of those women could have been her.
Yeah.
And she could have... something's happened to the child or the child isn't turning out she wants. She's sacrificing it.
Yeah.
And she's having an affair to try and get another demon child out of someone.
Yeah, okay, you're going to make it a sequel to that.
I think... I don't want a sequel to Terms of Endearment, but I think with a little bit of work, you could have actually woven it in fairly elegantly. Because you don't have to have Bruce Campbell. You don't need Bruce Campbell anymore because he's died.
Yeah.
You just need the other actress, and you could probably recast her because it's been so long. Who remembers?
I was thinking you could even bring back Ms. Paddock for this.
Oh, I would have killed for that. That would be great. I mean, you've wanted the Miss Paddock resumption since
absolutely.
Anyway.
I think one of the X-Files' biggest crimes is we've never brought Miss Paddock back.
And we have had opportunities because we pointed them out when this could have just been her.
Yeah.
You don't have to have someone new.
I did see, again, a lot of people like this just because it's a hark back to older X-Files episodes. It feels more like the old formula.
It's a season 2 episode, basically.
I did see some people arguing, much like we said for the last episode, it felt more like a Black Mirror episode, that this one felt more like either Channel Zero or Supernatural.
Yeah.
But I would kind of argue against that because, as we've already said, we've had episodes that involve demons and demonic possession and things like that in the X-Files. It's not just Supernatural's realm.
No. This is all within their kind of remit.
Channel Zero, though, I can see, although I haven't watched it, because that's the Creepypasta TV series, and I believe its first season was Candle Cove.
Okay.
So I can totally see why people were saying that it feels like it's something from Channel Zero on that basis.
Yeah. And I also appreciate that as much as I think that Mr. Chuckleteeth and the Terrifying Teletubbies are badly designed, I get they had to give the children something to latch onto, and you have to use a fictitious mascot because getting right to any of the real ones is going to be basically impossible given what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think it also points back to our point of this episode was a rush. They had to had in 4 extra episodes hastily, and that this one probably could have done with more time to develop.
Mm.
Also, there's a basic problem with the episode. So in your synopsis, you said there's the whole thing of the child of a law enforcement officer dies, the FBI has to be involved.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I absolutely believe this. There is no way this got to Mulder and Scully and not to anyone else in the Bureau, in the local field office, who would do this because there's no supernatural reporting.
Yeah, even on the basis of Mulder's first thing he says is he thinks it's a coiwal.
Yeah.
So your local FBI officer come down there and say, yep, animal attack, done.
Yeah.
And even I think you could use the argue when Scully says it looks like the kid's been shook. Animals tend to do that.
Animals do that,
They
yeah.
grab things and shake them from side to side. Nothing immediately says he's been attacked by a person there.
It's not revelatory at all.
It's not really, other than Mulder's immediate leap to Hellhound, which is absolutely correct, until he finds the salt on the kid's feet.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the problems is really, if this has to be Mulder and Scully for reasons that really defy explanation for why they would even be there, the supernatural thing has to come up front, otherwise they're not getting the case.
Yeah.
And that's a problem the X-Files hasn't had for a long time.
I think you'd go with, again, Dehander, where Mulder and Scully were called because they found this evidence of...
The black altar.
Like a black altar, a kind of black mass in the woods.
Yeah.
You need the kid to have been found in a magic circle or something like that.
Exactly. That's how almost all X-Files cases open, except for the few that are meant to be mundane and they stumble into something else.
Yeah.
But usually that's Mulder has been tasked with doing something else, or Scully's been asked.
Or you have ones like Detours, where he literally just stumbles across it while they're en route to something else.
Or Tithonus, where they were trying to split them apart. Scully's meant to be doing this very mundane serial killer thing.
Yeah.
And they, discover that actually this guy's way older than he should be and is basically immortal.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you don't have to sort of be upfront that it's not supernatural, even though the sting is inherently supernatural. So you're kind of wasting time pretending it's not supernatural at first.
Yeah.
Because if you make the sting mundane if you want to surprise us that there's a witch.
Yeah.
And don't call the episode familiar either.
Mm.
Do you have much else for this one?
Nah, I think we're done.
So next week is Nothing Lasts Forever, an episode I cannot remember anything about. I'm not sure how I managed to do this, because every other episode, except for... Neither of us could remember Underneath at all. We forgot that episode existed full stop somehow. This one you remember. I don't remember at all.
I remember it so vividly, and you're about to find out why.
And also, My Struggle 4.
So yeah, we've got to have a wrap-up after this at least, but last actual episodes we're going to discuss next week.
Well, I was thinking we'll do 2 more. One will be Perihelion.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like the last thing in universe at the current time.
Yep.
And then we'll do the wrap-up.
Yeah, okay. That sounds fair.
If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsgettingstrange42@gmail.com.
You can also contact us on social media. And please do if you've got any mascot horror you'd like to recommend that I'm not aware of yet. I'm quite fond of the genre. You can find us on Tumblr and Twitter at GetStrange42, on Mastodon at GetStrange42@universedon.com, or on Facebook, where you can find us by searching for Things Are Getting Strange, an X-Files Rewatch podcast. Additionally, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I also stream live on Twitch TV Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 PM GMT and Saturdays at 5 PM GMT under the name AdverseCamber42. At the moment, I'm playing Yakuza 0 and Kingdom Hearts, both on PlayStation 4.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/thingsatgettingstrange, where for as little as $3 a month you can have access to our bonus episodes, which include our Let's Play of the X-Files game called The X-Files Game, starring Craig Wilmore, the character, not the person, I can't remember who played him, and various guest stars from The X-Files as of Season 3. It's
Definitely a game?
It's allegedly canon, isn't it?
I don't actually know.
I think
A lot of X-Files things is canon.
I know, then we got something that's been torn out like the comics, which were and then got rejected.
Mm.
Our theme music is a vision by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find it on Copytech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember,
The truth is out there.